Hello, so I wanted to speak about anxiety and different ways of looking at anxiety and what's helped me with my own anxiety. So, one way I view my past and sometimes current anxiety is like a little part of me that needs attention, that's scared, and I'm kind of uncared for. So, basically, the more I started to see my anxiety rather as something I needed to push away or get rid of, and actually view it as a part of me that was scared and needed nurturing, and more like a little red flag, like, hey, you're not doing okay, or you're not looking after yourself so well, my anxiety actually decreased. Like, I spent years and years kind of fighting it, trying to push it away, hating it, hating that I was an anxious person. That kind of kept me being anxious. You know, things did improve, but every now and then when I'd get stressed or something would happen, my anxiety would come back, and I'd find it harder to cope in new and stressful situations. And that change really came when I read something on this website that I like to read sometimes called tinybuddha.com, and it was talking about how this person with anxiety felt her relationship with it changed once she viewed it as like a tiny little her. So instead of like this thing that was like out of control and like separate, it was like a part of her that just actually needed some love and attention. And when I read that, I think I was actually studying at the UEA doing my diploma in counselling, and obviously doing my counselling training brought up a lot of my own anxieties. Like, it was quite intense to be looking so deeply within again, and I hadn't done for years, so it kind of brought some old stuff to the surface. So I was struggling quite a bit. You know, it was an intense situation. We'd have intense circle time where we'd, you know, share how we were doing, and because I'm a feeler, I was picking up on a lot of other people's stuff plus my own. So yeah, reading this article about viewing anxiety as like a little part of you that's just scared really helped me, because I then softened how I treat myself when I was anxious. Instead of trying to push it away and ignore it and get upset that I was being anxious, I'd take it more as like a messenger, like, hey, I'm not doing as well as I could be, like, I need to take better care, like, I need to slow down. So then I started really looking into mindfulness, and even though it was really intense at the time actually to sit and meditate or try mindfulness, because as soon as I slowed down, I'd start paying loads of attention to my heart or my breathing, and that actually increased my anxiety. I did get to a point where I came through that, and now it doesn't do that at all. But, you know, mindfulness can come in all different shapes and forms. You don't have to do meditation to get, I think, similar benefits. It can be as little as like going outside at night on a clear night and just looking at the stars. Like, for me, it just does this thing within me, like this inner calm. A good way I started getting into it was when I was walking. I'd notice I'd always be like charging around, like trying to get anywhere as quickly as I could. Like, completely not in the present moment at all, just like jumping from one thing to the next. So what I tried to do was I'd like notice, oh my god, I'm charging again, and I'd deliberately just slow down. Like, that really helped me. So it can be just little things like that. They also say about eating, like really mindful, slow eating. So being really connected in like the present moment, what you're doing now. Another thing that helped me with my anxiety even more is definitely yoga. And a definitely more like meditative, nurturing yoga, not the kind of real sweating and going for it, even though I've started to do a little bit more going for it now. The most beneficial for me at the time was the really slow, like trying to tune in my body to get like my movements and my breathing kind of as one. And for many years I tried yoga and would go to certain classes, and I would feel anxious because I couldn't, you know, when they're telling you to breathe and they're telling you to breathe in and then breathe out and do this and do that, I just couldn't sync myself up, and that just left me more anxious actually. So don't worry if it starts like that. It doesn't always carry on. Sometimes I feel like it's just a little barrier, you know, like I think they say it with running, like you run and then you hit this like pain barrier, and if you actually just carry on running a little bit more, like then you can run for ages. It's like really weird. I'm pretty sure I didn't make that up. I think it's the same with anything and anxiety. Like at first it's scary, but just like trust and just keep going and find like a more gentle way of doing it, or just, you know, do it with someone else. Like don't give up completely these things that could really help, because at first they might cause a little bit of anxiety. Like anxiety is just sometimes so confusing because it can trick you into thinking, you know, you can't do things and that things are making you feel worse. And you have to be really brave, I think, to just keep kind of going. But also know at the same time when you need to stop and do something really restorative, or, you know, when do you need to really push yourself to get through it, and when do you really need to take it easy. And I think you can't go forward without both of those things. Like you need the nourishment, but you also need the gentle challenging and like pushing forward to get moving forward. I think people either try one and not the other, and it kind of just gets stuck. But anyway, each person will be uniquely different anyway. You know, some person might need a bit more of this and less of this. Some person might be like this. But I think it's important to care for yourself as you go forward. If you are suffering from anxiety, because it's horrible. You know, no one wants to feel like that. But it can change and it can get better. So just try. You know, give mindfulness a go, or meditation, or yoga, or just walking, being in nature, especially for me, like woodlands. Any kind of emotion I can be in, like angry, frustrated, like anxious. If I go to some woodlands and just walk for a little while, I just lose myself completely, and I completely forget why I was feeling the way I did. And I don't know if it's a combination of walking, moving forward, and, you know, the natural environment, the clean, fresh air. My stress levels just go down like so quickly. So that's definitely a top tip, actually. If you're anxious and you could prefer the seaside, or you could prefer rivers and lakes, or it could be woodlands, you know, it could be just fields and hills. Just find, I guess my message in all of this is, whilst wanting to share what helps me, find what helps you, and just listen and test things out, and just don't give up. You know, even if you have to change course slightly, that's not giving up, you're still trying. Yes, I think that'll do for now. Thank you for listening.